Not to sound like a giant boomer who sucks at everything, but I remember when console prices actually went down as the generation went on. I remember when consoles were constantly trying to undercut one another in an attempt to get your business. I also remember when consoles were widely seen as the cheap gaming hardware, as the cheap way to enter the gaming hobby. Not this generation, though. Consoles are more expensive than ever. The consoles are never getting price drops, it seems. In fact, they've been getting gradual price increases at different speeds, depending on where you are in the world. At least for the hardware, games keep getting more expensive. You're being charged more than ever to play your own games online for some reason, even though that's never been a necessary charge. And I thought we were all on the same page about how this was complete nonsense, especially since the PS5 at least has been sold at a profit for the last 4 years. So it's kind of hard to even make the argument that these consoles they're being sold at a loss, so they have to increase the price, or because the reasoning for the consoles being sold at a loss has always been, well, they make up for those charges in other ways, like with game sales and with subscription services. But when the consoles are being sold at a profit and the games are more expensive than ever for digital games for some reason, you're paying $80 for digital copies while also paying I don't even know how much anymore to play those games online, it's getting kind of difficult to justify any kind of price increase regardless of what economic conditions may be. Which is why it is such an absolute joke that yesterday, Sony announced the PS5 is getting a price increase in America, starting today, actually. They gave you 24 hours notice. Thank you, Sony. How wonderful that was. Thanks for the massive heads up. The PlayStation 5, the base version that came out in 2020 for $500, is now going to cost $550. Didn't you know that consoles actually go up in value as time goes on? It's a new thing we're trying this generation. Somehow. The digital edition is now $500, so the cheaper version of the console is now the price of the more expensive version of the console at launch. Someone make that make sense to me. And the PS5 Pro, which launched for an absurd $700, is now $750, and it still doesn't come with the disc drive. So if you want a PS5 Pro with a disc drive, that's solidly over $800 now. I literally never want to hear anyone say that PC gaming is too expensive ever again. You just can't make that argument anymore. $500 for a PS5 digital, and then you're paying more than ever for digital games. How can you possibly defend this? You can make the argument this is necessary. You can make the argument that, this is all out of Sony's hands, even though we know that is not true. And even though we are all aware of the fact that this is pretty blatantly Sony just taking advantage of the fact that other people are charging more for their goods. Other people are making things more expensive. Other corporations are trying to get away with charging more. Why don't we charge more? Everyone else is doing it. That's just what I don't get. Since 2021, the PS5 has been a profitable sale for Sony. Even if you want to make the argument that, the parts are just more expensive now, so it's no longer being sold at a profit. They're selling the PS5 at a loss now. Okay, well, they've been fine with selling consoles at a loss literally forever before this, and they're making more money than ever off of not consoles. So you're gonna have to do a better job explaining to me why it's the consumer's responsibility to give you more money now. No matter how you want to slice it, this is Sony demanding more money for less product, which is an extremely hard sell. And also, if you want to talk about economic conditions, they have to raise the price because of economic conditions. And, pass the monetary responsibility onto the consumer because, the consumers are completely unaffected by economic conditions, right? Guys, Sony has to make things more expensive. They have to make it more expensive. They're affected by the economy, not you, the consumer. You've got money coming out the earballs. You can give them more money, right? I love how that logic just does not go both ways. But anyways, that's not what this video is about, okay? You can make the argument that it's out of Sony's hands. You can make the argument that it's all because of economic conditions and greed has nothing to do with it. That's not what this video is about. This video is about the PlayStation fanboys who are getting mad at people for noticing there was a price increase, because apparently this is a thing we're still doing. Because after this news broke, I quote tweeted it. I said, quote, "This console gen is a joke." Because really, I don't know how you can even argue against that at this point. These consoles have been overpriced from day one in terms of what you're getting in the hardware and what you're getting in game performance. Games are overpriced, services are overpriced, and now they're making things even more overpriced without giving you anything more or even really following through on the promises that they made at the beginning of the generation. This is, in my opinion, you can disagree if you want, this is the single worst console generation of my lifetime. But would you believe there were a lot of people who came into my responses because I have a special power still, apparently. My special power still exists where I can tweet something out that like 99% of people agree with, but then the 1% of people get really mad at me for acknowledging that it happened for some reason. And I got yelled at quite a bit. Again, you can make the argument, and I'm happy to hear the argument, that this actually was necessary, that this actually was out of Sony's hand. And if you want to have that debate, if you want to have that discussion, then okay. But that's not the people who were yelling at me. The people who were yelling at me were doing one of two things. They were either getting mad at me for noticing there was a price increase because you have Sony's cock so far down your neck that you can't even notice what you're doing anymore, or number two, they were getting mad at me for not liking consoles, I think. So let's just start reading. Some of these are amazing. They're great. They're wonderful. I'm glad to see that I'm still capable of just generating console fanboy salt by existing and pointing at the state of the console industry. That's really what gets me about the whole thing. I don't even feel like I said anything controversial. I just pointed at the state of affairs and was like, look. And people were getting mad at me for saying, look. Like, sorry, I guess I wasn't supposed to notice the fact that you're being overcharged for literally everything. My bad. I'll just go back to not noticing anything that corporations ever do. Must be a peaceful life over there. Kaznia says, why is it a joke? Because you want prices to be practically free forever? Because you don't want products to keep up with inflation? Oh, look, it's another person on the internet doing the stupid pancakes, waffles, you hate pancakes, you want to fuck waffles meme. All I said was that this console gen is a joke because prices continue to go up, and it's been 5 years and there hasn't been a single price drop on these things. Well, I mean, there's other reasons as well, as I already said, but that's how this started. And you're saying, well, it's because you want things to be free. Literally, when did I say that? The shit's too expensive. Well, it can't be free. Yeah, no one said it should be. We're just saying it shouldn't look like this. So, like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you want to make the argument that's necessary, if you want to make the argument that's out of Sony's hands, then fine, make that argument. But this is just you sucking off Sony for no reason. Sony has a console that comes out in 2020, and a lot of people see it as overpriced. 5 years go by without a price drop in the United States, and during those 5 years, the prices actually go up in places outside of the United States. And throughout all of that, Sony is raising the prices of other things. Sony is not really following through on what they said they would give you at the beginning of this generation when they gave it that big price tag and when they refused to drop the price tag. And now, here they come along with a price increase. In the face of all that, they're increasing the price. I say, hey, that kind of sucks. And your response is, well, it can't be free. You just want it to be free. Kaznius, can you fucking read? Claudia says, make your own console gen then. Yeah, no, I'll just go make my own. This one has to be bait. This one's gotta be bait, but I kinda love it if it is. If it's not bait, then holy shit. If it is bait, I love it. My bad. I'll just go make my own. Oh wait, I did make my own. I built a PC. So I guess I kinda did make my own. I just went and built a PC instead of indulging consoles and their stupid nonsense. But speaking of PC, in case you didn't think these guys were console fanboys, Mr. L says PC is better, plus emulation has gotten so amazingly good that it's better to go that route. But then Kaznius, he's back, says, fuck PC, that shit is a downgrade. Why are you PC fanboys like the vegans of the gaming world, always trying to convince someone to choose a different lifestyle, lol? So just in case you didn't think this was really just about defending consoles. Because you were trying to make the argument about inflation, but then someone brings up PC and you're like, fuck PC, I hate it. But let's just look at this. First of all, how is PC a downgrade? Really, how is PC gaming possibly a downgrade in the face of this? For slightly more money than this, you get the same performance. I mean, by some people's builds, for the same money as this, or for less money than this, you can get the same kind of hardware performance on a PC, and then you also get cheaper games. You also don't have to pay for online. You also get more games. You also get more peripherals. You also get indies. You also get mods. How is PC possibly a downgrade in the face of this? But also, you're calling PC fanboys the vegans of the gaming world? You're trying to convince someone of a different lifestyle. It's like I was talking about how this console gen is a joke. And if you don't want to go on consoles, you play on PC. This isn't even PC gamers inserting themselves where they weren't involved. We're talking about gaming and gaming hardware. There's console hardware and PC hardware. Console hardware is a joke, so naturally people are talking about switching to PC or playing on PC instead. And that personally offends you for some reason. And he's not the only one. Reynaldo Jimenez responds to Mr. L and says PC are scams, then has screenshots of expensive GPUs. Fun fact, if you don't want to spend that much on a GPU, you don't have to. You literally don't have to. No one is making you. If you don't want to spend that much money on a PC, don't spend that much money on a PC, spend less on a PC. If you don't want to spend that much money on that specific card, buy it used. I swear, you guys just look at the price tag of PC parts and stop thinking. And you're also not even factoring in the money that you save on everything else once you get on PC. Because yes, most people will spend more than a console on their PC. The hardware of their PC will cost more than the console, but they're actually saving money gaming on the PC because everything else on the PC, aside from the hardware, is almost comically cheaper. So if you're playing games for any stretch of time, really, you're saving money on the PC regardless of how much you spent on it up front. But again, if you don't want to spend this much money on PC hardware, don't. Nobody is making you. Monkey Bones says your country is the joke. Americans still think that the US is the entire world. Sony has explicitly stated that as of their August 2025 announcement, there are no other price changes to announce for additional markets. Okay. Did we forget this happened? Did we forget this happened? Sony's been jacking up the price of all of their stuff basically everywhere to different degrees. And now they're continuing to do it in all of their markets. And I'm like, man, that's stupid. And you're like, yeah, well, America's stupid. It's like they've been doing it everywhere. What the fuck? I mean, you have UK in your username. Yeah, man, the PS5 is just so cheap in the UK. Oh, wait, they already jacked up your price. My bad. We were just supposed to lay on our backs and be okay with it like you did, apparently. Sorry, I'll be a good little consumer and not criticize anything. Royal King and Nem says, no, you are, lol. You like 30 FPS, why you talking? And then a screenshot of a tweet of mine from a year and a half ago, where I had to look this up because apparently, if I say this console gen is a joke, actually I'm a joke because I like 30 FPS. You think Joe from Seattle likes 30 FPS? The guy who constantly rags on 30 FPS? And I had to go look this up because I didn't remember what this tweet was in response to. It really looks like there's context here. It doesn't look like the kind of thing that I would just randomly blurt out on April 4th. And I was right, because this doofus canoe cut out what I was quote tweeting. I was quote tweeting the news that Hellblade 2 was limited to 30 FPS with a justification being that it's more cinematic. And I said in response that I think the return of 30 FPS caps wouldn't bother me as much if devs didn't lie to us about why they were there. And I said it's not cinematic, it's because you can't optimize. With the context here, this is blatantly a criticism of 30 FPS. Even in the version that you posted, it's a criticism of 30 FPS, because I say if the return of 30 FPS caps wouldn't bother me as much, meaning they do now. And then just out of curiosity, I was like, do I not rag on 30 FPS as much as I thought I do? So I just searched Joe from Seattle 30 FPS, and here's me ragging on 30 FPS. Here's me ragging on 30 FPS. Here's me ragging on 30 FPS again. Here's me ragging on 30 FPS again. Here's me ragging on 30 FPS again. Like, dude, I want to know how you stalked my Twitter back a year and a half for this one tweet of me saying something about 30 FPS. And you didn't find the rest of them? You didn't get any gauge of how I feel about anything else? Did you have nothing else to do? Do you have pictures of me in your room? I genuinely want to know how you came to this conclusion. How long have you been holding on to this screenshot? How long have you had this tweet in your bookmarks? I'm so confused. You know who I am enough to have this tweet on hand, but you don't know who I am enough to know that I don't like 30 FPS. I'm so confused. One more. OzReaper83 says, has a look at the price of PC parts. Yep, it's just consoles. Are you stupid? Because, price is all that matters. $700 of console tech versus $700 of PC tech. I mean, those things are completely the same, right? It's not like you're paying more money to get more out of the product with PC, right? When you spend a lot of money on a PC, I mean, you're just getting a console basically, right? Paying more money for more product, I can't understand that. I'm a console player. Why would I understand that? And no one's happy about PC prices either. You get that, right? No one's happy that PC parts are as expensive as they are. The difference is that PC parts have a way around that high price. We can buy parts used. We have a bunch of parts to choose from. If there's a price for something that we don't want to pay, we don't have to pay it. If we want to play on PC, but the PC hardware is a price we don't want to pay, we don't have to pay it. That's the difference. And when we do pay it, we get more out of it. We get better graphics. We get more games. We get cheaper games. We get free online. We get all the things that a computer can do that the console can't because it's a fucking computer. We can search the web. We can use Excel sheets. We can make PowerPoints. But you just saw a price tag and stopped thinking there. Because that's as far as you understand this. And yet you're going to come call me stupid because I understand it more. This is fun. I love the internet. Gosh, again, if you want to make the argument that Sony's doing this out of necessity, that things really do have to be this expensive, I am happy to hear that argument. I'm not happy to agree with you because I think I've made my stance on this very clear. I think what's happening now is a lot of corporations looking at how expensive things are getting and using that as a justification to pass their expenses on to the consumer because they think they can get away with it. We supposedly live in a free market, and a free market is supposed to be a case of supply and demand. It's supposed to be a place where you respect the consumer and give them a product at a price that they are willing to pay. You're not supposed to spit in the consumer's face and demand they give you more money for less product, and also the product is 5 years old and has never gone down in price. That is bullshit. Especially while all of these, supplementary products, the things like games and services, controllers, basically all the stuff attached to that product have also been exponentially going up in price, so it's hard to justify raising the price of the original base product anyways. And all this in the face of headlines like this, where the company raising these prices also blatantly does not have a handle on their own budgeting for products. And this company has a history of explicitly expecting the consumer to pick up their own slack in their budgets because they can't do it themselves. I do not believe there is a reasonable justification for this price increase. I do not believe there is an actual legitimate business reason for this. I believe it is all greed, or at best, 90% greed. And if you want to disagree with me, if you want to have an honest discussion about it, I'm happy to do that. But everything that I just showed you, does that look like honest discussion to you? Or does that look like people getting mad that I criticized the corpo? And if people are getting mad that I'm criticizing the corpo and people are blindly defending the corpo, do you think headlines like this are going to get more or less common? So bollocks to it all, I'm doing the Doofus Club now. Pro for the Rat King, freshly milked man, nut in your butt, no motorcycle yet, just got my first car, Devastator 2000, Seven Christensen, Jake, Spider Monkey 1994, hashtag BanJTechTV, Gara, Secret Horse Son, Colonel Doofus, F. Quopala, Showbiz NCNA, Chris Void, Vast Dennis, Joe found there is a second moat, come join me, hashtag BanJTechTV. This, Game with Dead People, Biscuit 1101, Vendetta Archery, Maxi Levy 2 Gaming, Celebrate, Muskie, Kyle Ward 789, Big Fudge, Brick, Hard Meat, Brandy got blacked by Ty Tyrone, Big Ups, Liquid Richard Wings, Klepto Penguin, Jojo 6, Moltheme, Beesoms, Evan Cobrelli, Eric Oracle, Return of the King, Rise Upside Down, Pedro Pascal's Left Hand, Nate, Blast 1314, Jimmy Chops, I'm married to PC Gamer, apologize to your wife, Joe, Master Killer, Virusorn 2056, Demetrius Papagiorno, Tom Schnorlax, and The Last of Us is Mid, Unknown 1867, 18, Kevdog 1992, Gar's Long Lost, Horse, Son, Official Jags, Ayo, Captain Jack, Bringing Back to the Railroad Track, Apion 504, Grimsy at Shadow Bear 1789, Kushku, Unicorn Rocker, Bender Fondue, I live in DSP's walls and stealing his forks, I just can't do this, I can't take this shit, no man, no more wings, man, fuck, T-Train, Reisner, Sentinikaga, and Onvola, I lied, I didn't forget to change my name, Partial Mean 8, Vox Auto, Codman 4372WX, I need a stupid name for Jody out loud for everyone to see, Alder Alpha 1, Doug Bigsy Smile, Snake Eyes 327, I changed my name back to Gamer Word 72, MK2396E, Hentai X Machina Gamma, Elite Fire Hazard 1 of 5, Brass of the Wolf, OK Toodles, Tech Gaming, Jungle Zone, Slim Jim, Collective Stick Up Bum, Joe Trap Me in the Moat, hashtag Banjay Tech, Gay Local Adult with Autism, PC Gamer, Jessica Shepard, Ricky Spower, Ricky Tabby, don't know about Gara Horse, but I'll be a godfather, Crewman the Steel Angel, my profile picture has Clippy in it, fuck Big Corpos and their slop, Sergeant Jason Bond, Baron Von Voderham, Cyrus 6771, True Tex 940, I snuck onto your PC and pre-ordered Battlefield 6 on your PC with your money, Creed Warrior 23, Max Chev, Simply the Chat, Totally Insane, even Black Cobra, the NWA Slayer, Night of Cypher, ML04, I own 6 copies of Clip 2006 on Blu-ray, Wolf of Midnight, Sig Rider, Pig, Venus, Sequence, Studios, Film Kraken, Ohm Gaming, Tariq, Brown, Thorns, Game, Maganex, Severn, Evans, Mr. Daniel, 3 is kindly for Mix, Pow Pow, Donnie Weston, Nick Donegan, Draws Mex on Twitch, come hang y'all, God Godson, Rogue Winter 919, Bobby Hinder, Kenny Kitten Fanny, Hangman for Hire, Eldon the Noble, Frost, Crystal, Biogenesis, Ian Action, Poppy Pingus 97, Mega Keys, Tropisco, Ghost Ho, Ryusagi, Vasco, Raptor Tim, Mama 94, Blue Hook, Film a Tip, Mr. Techno Squeak, Oh No, It's Only Live Service Games, Smitty, Working Man Jensen, Mick Advertisement, Diego Garcia, JJ Jesse, Kimmigans, I American Idiot, Harmon Smith on the Chin, Oh No, It's Justin, Rand Roy, Toonie Wayne, Extreme the Wolf 7, Joey Scoops, Negative Creep, Joe Taku, Retro, Wannabe, Hobo, Jidge, Westside Bill 310 Char, Rob C, Veg, Groove Nana, Curtin Ounce Back, Sal Hathan, Jet Ski, it's actually a Jote Ski. I'm back. I run away from the microphone every time I do that. Every time I do that last one, I don't run away, but I like quietly waddle away. If you could see me right now, I'd be away. I gotta poop. Okay, toodles.